Hello, chat.
So, we're actually going to go ahead and cut the music because we're going to have enough noise in the VC in just a moment. So, hello everyone and welcome to my stream. Hello everyone.
Tofu.
Hello. So we're going to go to our in-game screen or screen, whatever it is.
Hoping my Wi-Fi holds up for this.
So we're gonna.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's up?
No, I was gonna comment. My internet died as soon as I offered to be
love
here.
That for you.
And I was like, oh, great.
Love that for you.
Yes.
Oop. Come on. Okay, do the thing so that way I can copy everyone's PNGs and then put them in here. Thank you. I am doing the thing where I am putting everyone's PNGs in here.
Yay. I think
Okay.
ours should still be the our corpse cat.
That's fine. As long as y'all are okay with it.
That's fine.
So this one is... Oh, it's fine. It'll default to your Discord icon.
Oh, that's okay.
We just.
Okay, that's up to you. Zodi wants to sit in the VC, but on mute.
That's
Okay.
fine. Hi,
So-
Zodi.
We're gonna go ahead and do
Oh wait,
that.
Zodi's not in chat.
not there yet.
There we go. There's the Zodi. Hi, Zodi. Have fun
Yeah.
being mutes.
Me.
Much loves.
Let me shrink down Etho here.
Oh my god. He's tiny. Look how tiny.
The one time. Well, no. I can't
Listen.
really say the one time.
Listen, it's my stream. I can make anyone any size that I want.
That's fair. I'm not gonna complain. I am, however, going to also like step away from my mic because I want to put on my freaking. I never know how to pronounce it. It's like a giant onesie, but it's Gengar.
Oh, it's a Kigurumi.
Yes,
Kigurumi.
that's what it is.
Love that.
Nah, I have been a weeb for too long. I know what those are.
I'm definitely not grabbing my laptop to put stream on a different screen. Nope, not at all.
That's totally fine.
Definitely don't have two monitors. Actually, technically have three, but it's fine.
It's me having... So we're gonna go ahead and just
Oh,
make that very
that's-
tiny.
That is a
Or,
Discord image.
Yeah,
That is
definitely... We're gonna go ahead and just hide that.
Yeah.
There we go. Make it so that way stream is still somewhat safe for work.
Mhm.
Also, Mystery,
What
I
happened?
didn't realize that I didn't have your it's your icon.
Oh, my tattoos?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's fine. You didn't know that
It's-
Discord defaults to that.
Yeah.
Or not
promise-
Discord, but Reactive defaults to that. You're good.
Yeah.
I promise everything's covered, but if I need to, I can change my profile picture.
It's okay. It's just gonna look very weird that I'm talking to a rib cage.
Also, you
You're-
just don't want you just don't want like
We don't want
sometimes
yeah.
people who are like, oh, just report it for no reason
Yeah, we don't want Twitch to be weird about it.
because they get weird about anything. You show your foot without like any socks on, you're pretty much getting in trouble. Hello, put me on your head.
Okay.
Small
okay.
on top of
I
your
will
head.
Be,
Do it.
I will
I
be
dare
doing
you.
that. Let
I
me.
dare you. There you go. I'm on your head.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect curve and everything. That works.
Yay!
Okay.
Perfect.
So
Hold on 2 seconds, I'll change my avatar so it's safe for work.
it's okay. I have it hidden, so if anything, I'll just unhide it.
I'm just finding pretty rock pictures. Hold on.
That's fine.
I have them somewhere, I promise.
It's okay. Alright, so let's go over here. Let's go to window capture. We're gonna property is that? Thank you for the follow, Aaron. I appreciate that.
Glow stick.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Hold on
favorite
one
glow
second. I'll be right back.
The favorite glow stick.
I changed it. It should be safe now.
Yay. Alright, I'll go ahead and unhide it then.
I apologize.
No, you're good. That works.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna need Mystery to stay right there outside of the friend PNGs folder for just a moment while we do this stream. I was about to join y'all before I read which chat you were in. Yeah, it's all good. So I'm gonna go ahead and stream this also to the Discord.
Oh, live react. Okay, let's
Yeah, that way y'all get the live reaction.
How do I not?
So we're gonna do that. It's okay if not. So.
Let's see if my
Of course
Wi-Fi
I was-
holds up.
Thanks for the follow. Okay, so when I switch to the app, does it show on stream? Okay, cool. That's fine. We can fix that real quick. Do do do. Do 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 do. So we're just gonna do display capture, and that'll work. Haven't done that in a while. It just means I will never be able to check Discord. That's fine. Okay.
Never ending void.
So, let's see if that works on stream. Yeah, there we go. So, welcome to the Halloween Horror Nights lore deep dive. Yes, this is inspired by Chai's various deep dives. I basically binge watched, I watched the Dracula deep dive a couple of times, and then I watched the Fire Emblem Fates entire almost 12-hour deep dive, and I was like, maybe I should get in on that.
I have arrived, my spooky bitches.
Hello, Pocket. Oh, I'm gonna have to move you so that way you and Mystery aren't sharing a space. Give me a second.
I get the head
Mystery, you
space.
took my spot. How
The thing
could
is,
you?
the thing is, I'm perfectly sat. That's the
That
thing.
is true. Well, Pocket is also perfectly sat, but let's put you right here.
We can figure out a way to share.
Yeah, that's all
Oh.
good.
I've been demoted to the ground.
Only slightly. Okay, so you haven't missed anything. This is the deep dive. Y'all can see it on Discord. Y'all can see it on stream. We are good. And my computer isn't gonna explode. Fingers crossed. Should be fine because it's a gaming laptop.
I just kind of jinxed yourself.
It's fine. Anyway. So, strap in, buddy. Okay, so I'm planning on mixing both actual history and in-lore history for this event, since what happens in the real world affected and continues to affect the Halloween Horror Nights, aka HHN, lore. Also, I will only go over the content of the houses and zones when they relate directly to the lore. And yes, some of the info and pictures are from the HHN Wiki. It's unfortunately the best collection of this event's fucking lore, despite being an absolute mess.
Belt.
Basically, the HHN Wiki is garbage, but we gotta put up with it because it's the best website that can that has a skeleton of the lore. Anyway, content warning. This is your one and only warning. If you are genuinely scared of violence, blood, murder, chainsaws, clowns, snuff films, mentions of being hanged but not in a sewer slide way, mentions of abuse, mentions of terrorism, arson, mentions of kidnapping, medical malpractice of all kinds, and secret organizations, now is your chance to take the easy way out. Maniacal laugh! Sorry, that's a joke from HHN 25.
You're good.
So, yeah, no, literally all of this is going to be mentioned. I wish I was kidding.
Yeah.
Also, legal disclaimer. Please do not sue me, Universal Studios. I just really love Halloween Horror Nights, and everything I state in this is my opinion. Any lore I talk about is going to lean heavily on Universal's established lore, and I am sorry for how confusing it is, but it's their lore and they can do what they want. If you want someone to fix the plot holes, though, I'm always available and would love to love to be on the HHN creative team to help with the story.
That's why fan fiction is a thing.
Oh yes. HHN actually does have a fanfiction tag, by the way.
It does?
It absolutely does.
I feel like I shouldn't be surprised by this.
How
and yet
many-
I am.
How many times your name? I bet you that's the number one ship.
Actually, there's only a couple of reader fanfics. A lot of it
Really?
is Jack and Chance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome to the 90s, aka Universal Studios basically saw a crowd Disney didn't advertise to and said, it's free real estate.
Hey.
So, the first year, 1991. Okay, so Universal Studios Orlando opened in 1990, and things were going great, with the rides that weren't totally breaking down at every opportunity. Anyway, some execs over at Universal saw that Disney throwing Not So Scary Halloween Party, and decided, Florida's filled with horror-obsessed freaks, let's make a haunted house event because the mouse is too cowardly to appeal to them. So, Jim Stein, CEO of Universal at the time, went up to Julie Zimmerman, if I remember, an art and design director at the time, and they got to work on the first ever haunt event for the Universal Studios parks. This consisted of one house, named the Dungeon of Terror, and a bunch of shows based on Universal's various horror characters. Yes, this does mean that Beetlejuice and all of the other Universal classic monsters were the first HHN icons, a title I will be explaining once we hit the 2000s. Yes, the event was called Fright Nights. No, it was only for this 1 year, and I will be explaining why shortly. Honestly, seeing there are some rare videos and pictures of this year, and it's so fascinating.
I love that. I actually love that. I'd love to see those images.
Oh, they're fun. Okay, but what's the in-lore reason for this? I am not shitting you. The in-lore reason for this is that the God of Fear, basically Gaslight Gatekept girl bossed his way into the brains of the Universal execs to start collecting fear from the hearts of humans. Also, he just kind of allows Beetlejuice and the classic monsters to run the event. I promise I'll explain this in a bit. We just gotta go through 19 more years of content. And yes, this is the in-lore reason for the next 9 years of HHN. I wish I was kidding.
Okay, I'm gonna pause you. So
Yeah, what's up?
basically, they just pulled a Disney there because you know how Disney's like, come on, gang, we gotta get the show on the road, and it looks like they're doing the work to put the show together.
Uh-huh.
Except with horror icon classics.
Essentially, yes.
Nice.
Ah, okay, gotcha. Understand them.
So, HHN 2, 1992. New name, new house, same event. The reason for the name change is most likely the original Fright Night. Please go watch it. It's one of my favorite vampire movies of all time. But the people behind the original Halloween Horror Nights years don't work at Universal anymore, so Anyway, literally everything is doubled. We've gone from one house to two, and from one weekend to two. The houses were, again, the Dungeon of Terror, and the People Under the Stairs, which was the first IP house ever for this event. This is also one of the many, many years where we dropped the icons concept. And this is the year where the most iconic stage show of our time started, Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure. Tofu plus HHN number 1. Okay, so now I get to subject y'all to some tofu lore that y'all never asked for. I grew up watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure on this little website called YouTube, and after a few years, we were able to actually watch it once a year when people posted their videos. Universal doesn't like people filming the live shows, and I ain't no snitch, so good luck getting that info out of me. Anyway, one of the driving forces behind me wanting to go to HHN was basically being able to see this show live. However, as I will explain later, this show is now over and I am so fucking upset about it. Please let me see my boys at least once, Universal, I'm begging you. HHN 3, 1993.
That is such a tragedy. That is such a tragedy, though.
It is! Real quick, Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure was literally a cultural phenomenon because every year it would make fun of the pop culture of the previous year. And sometimes it was so fun. The storylines were amazing. And also the guy that is the director of HHN now actually played, if I remember, Ted in the live shows for a bit first. So, like, yeah, it's a whole thing. Mike Aiello is great, and I love him. HHN 3, 1993. Another week gets added, so we're now covering half of October. Yippee! We also have 3 houses this time. The People Under the Stairs, the Slaughterhouse, and the Psychopath Maze. There also aren't any icons this year. These slides are just to show that I looked into each and every year. I promise this will pay off in 4 more slides. HHN 94, or HHN 4, 1994. We got the funky, Scooby-Doo colors going. I really love this color scheme. Bring it back.
It's great.
So this year, things get mixed up a little. We're still running for 3 weekends, but we get 4 houses. The Boneyard, Dungeon of Terror, Hell's Kitchen, and the Psychopath Maze. We also get our first Scare Zone. Entered to the stage, Horrorwood.
Nice.
Yeah. HHN 1995. This is the year I was born. Also, some things change up a bit. We get the Crypt Keeper as an icon. The lineup is reduced by 1 house, but we gain a Scare Zone in return. We get Crypt Keeper's Dungeons of Terror, Terror Underground, Transit to Torment, and Universal's House of Horror. The zones are Horror Boulevard and Midway of the Bazaar. 1996. So this year was a little weird. We've reduced the house number back down to 3. We only have 1 Scare Zone, and we don't have an icon again. However, we do get an extra weekend in October, and we actually get a weekend in November. Wish we could bring that back. I need a weekend where the diehards would be the majority of the crowd when it's colder. So the houses are the Crypt Keeper's Studio Tour of Terror, Toy Hell, Nightmare in the Scream Factory, and Universal's new House of Horrors. And the Scare Zone is Midway of the Bazaar.
I have a theory about that previous one.
Yes.
You noticed how it was, like you said, it was extra week until November? Like,
Yeah.
they first did that? And they said the Toy Hell. What if they was trying to, like, well, because it's going to roll over to Christmas, we might be able to extend it into November because toys.
That would be sick as hell, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, HHN 7, 1997. The first year where we get every weekend of October as Halloween Horror Nights. Or HHN Nights. Yay! Also, we still get November 1st as an extra night. We still only get 3 houses and 1 Scare Zone, though. However, this is the year where the Tofu's history with HHN lore really begins. Houses are Hotel Hell, Tombs of Terror, and Universal's Museum of Terror. Scare Zone, Midway of the Bazaar. Man, they really like this Scare Zone, huh?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Okay, so HHN or Tofu and HHN number 2. So here's where things start to get a bit personal, but in a positive way. Basically, I grew up watching my dad have the staff shirt for 7, but I'm unsure which house he acted in. I actually confirmed this with Dad. It is Tomb of Terror. However, this is the year he has photos from. He likes to talk about the next year, though. And yes, the one in the middle is my actual father.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. These are actual physical photos that he has that he kept in a Walgreens photo center envelope.
So what you're saying is Tofu is canon to HHN.
Technically, yes. And we'll
Yeah.
actually get into that. Because it's
Ooh.
not canon for the reasons. Oh, yeah, Dad, it was your first year.
Oh,
Aw,
dang.
thank you for the 5 subs as well. Yes, everyone, Erie, Florida in chat is my father. The one that's displayed in the middle here. Thanks,
Hi, Tofu
Dad.
Dad.
I
Oh,
appreciate
Tofu's dad
it.
gave me one. Thank you, Tofu's
Yeah.
dad.
Tofu Dad is awesome.
He's
Tofu
awesome.
dad.
And yes, he does actually work the next year as well. So, HHN 8, 1998. So they decided that every weekend in October was fine again and actually upped the house count. We have 5 whole houses now. We still only have 1 Scare Zone though, but that's fine. Houses. Hell's High. SS Britannic. Carnage Crew. My dad worked this one. And then SS Fritanic, Fear in First Class. Then we also have Universal's Museum of Horror, Chamber of Horrors. And then Universal's Museum of Horror, Unnatural History. So, Dad was talking about this. SS Fritanic, those two houses actually shared an entrance, but then would split off depending on which one you lined up for. So the first room was the same one for each house, which was the Fritanic, and he described this in the best way possible. There were two skeletons doing the Jack and Rose pose on the boat.
I love that.
And apparently it also had My Heart Will Go On playing because Universal has the rights to that song.
That's great.
Chef kiss.
I love it so much.
Perfect.
I'm kind of curious how those look. Those I never seen a haunted like house like boat theme though.
That'd be so
God,
cool.
I have though.
Same with the
You
previous
have.
year at Tomb of Terror.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I grew up with my dad in the Coast Guard, and they had their own little haunted houses. One of which was the haunted ship. They would do up one of the boats up there. One of the biggest
Yeah.
ones they had on the fleet.
There's
It was
actually
awesome.
there's actually one near the house that we're about to move out from. It's in Tampa. There's there's a scare zone, or not a scare zone, but a haunted house on an actual boat.
That's
Ooh.
great.
It's insane.
Most of the places are actually haunted too, so it's just like adds on.
Yeah.
It's
HHN
super eerie too because ships do be really cramped.
They do. HHN
Yeah,
9. Oh, sorry.
You're good. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I was just gonna say I've done a actual boat tour.
Ooh.
They
That is-
I was in a Navy junior ROTC unit for 3 years in high school, so we did a boat tour of one of the Navy.
I can see Zoe
And-
nodding along because I think they did that too.
It was so tiny. They had to split us into groups of like 5, and this was only a class of like 30 kids.
Bruh. Alright, I can't find my phone anywhere, so I'm... Oh, no, there it is. Okay, cool. So that way I can have chat up. Anyway, so HHN 9, 1999. Okay, so we actually get some lore here. This slide will be the basics, though. Anyway, we still get 5 houses in one zone, and we actually get an icon again. This time, it's Emotep. Yes, it's to promote the cinematic masterpiece that is the 1999 Mummy remake. So the houses we have are Doomsday, Insanity, The Mummy, Psycho through the mind of Norman Bates, and Universal's Creature Feature in 3D. Oh, look, it's the first 3D HHN house. And the scare zone we have is Midway of the Bazaar. And I thought we newer HHN fans got spoon-fed the same houses and zones too much. Yeesh.
Yeah, that's the same one for a very long time.
Yeah, but I understand why. Alright.
I get why. Oh,
So, the lore truly begins. Okay, so this is where things start to get really get unhinged in so many ways, but we'll go through the year's lore first. Emotep falls in love with the pharaoh's future wife, and he plans to kill the pharaoh. Someone calls the guards on him and the wife. Wifey ends up sacrificing herself, and the guards end up killing Emotep and bury his sarcophagus so he can't be revived. However, this is a fruitless effort because a certain god of fear yoinks the sarcophagus and kind of just puts it in Universal's art and design department to be used on the 9th year of the event. I promise we'll talk about the fear god in a bit, but we gotta talk about some other characters and years first. Welcome to the 2000s! Send in the clowns. Meet Jack. So, sometime in early planning for HHN 10, the executives saw the potential of having an icon for each year and what that could mean for profits. So they asked they asked one of their best Beetlejuice actors, James Keaton, to try out for a new character for HHN, Jack Schmidt. Basically, they just let this guy loose at City Walk and downtown Orlando in general, and everyone just kind of let this happen. Also, he's the most popular icon nowadays. Tofu fun fact, I hated this character for so goddamn much for a reason that will be explained in detail in a few slides.
he do look creepy.
This slide is literally just to show off my favorite picture of Jack.
That's fucking great, though.
Is that one of those, like, pedal boats?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
They're just out there pedaling and chasing ducks.
I think this is on Disney property too. I don't even think this is like normal downtown Orlando. That's just cherry on the top.
Advertisement, rogue advertisement.
It's fantastic. And yes, photo credit to Haunt Vault for this one. God fuck, I will cherish this picture forever. Okay, so what's the in-lore backstory for this guy? Jack Schmidt was born in Shady Brook Rest Home and Sanatorium along with his twin brother Eddie in the late 1800s. This bit of lore is so out of place, but only for one of the brothers. I promise we will talk about it when we get to Eddie. After facing a life of abuse, he runs away and joins Dr. Oddfellow's Carnival of Thrills. Yes, he abandoned his brother, but this is where he meets Chance. We'll talk about her in a bit. Also, because the circus keeps traveling due to the crimes Oddfellow commits, Jack can avoid getting in trouble for his own hobby, murder. 1920 rolls around and the cops are hot on both of their tails. So Jack confesses to Oddfellow, thinking they can just get away with it if they get their story straight. Instead, Jack gets swiftly murdered, so Oddfellow doesn't have to deal with it, and just uses the bodies as props in a house of horrors. Anyway, the carnival gets sold and nothing happens for almost 60 years besides that pesky god of fear choosing him as a herald. Also, yes, my second favorite picture of Jack is down at the bottom.
Hold on, that lore needs to be unpacked for a second.
Yeah. Oh no, it gets worse. I promise you, it gets worse.
It's so funny coming into an HHN stream for once and not being completely blind, because I know you've talked to me about Jack before.
That is true. Also, the total body count, if I remember, from Jack is 13 children. If I remember correctly. Also, yeah, it gets worse. So where does Universal become relevant here? Fall of 1980 is where we get to a new character to the HHN lore scene. The fucking BBC, the British Broadcasting Channel, decides they want to do a documentary about the dark rides of America. This is why they stumble upon the old House of Horrors in a Louisiana junkyard, and they're dumb enough to go inside. The place reeks, most likely due to the humidity and direct sunlight combo we suffer down here in the South, causing the bodies to decompose fast, but the smell to linger. But they manage to get through it. They basically find the display with the bodies, and finally call the cops after finding Jack's rotting corpse. However, on the way to get the body's DNA tested, the van with Jack went missing. The BBC crew was also eventually found later in a grisly and unsolved murder. This is when he basically became a cryptid with a legend tied to the box he's still in. Anyway, so the props are kind of just sitting in police custody until Universal Studios buys it off of them, and puts the box with the rotting body in art and design, and then test out the urban legend on the unassuming public. Universal execs were truly unhinged back in the day, which y'all are gonna see soon.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Jack is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here open mouthed.
What?
I'm sitting here like open mouthed through these right now.
The fuck did I just join into? Roar, you joined into Halloween Horror Nights lore, and you joined into Jack's backstory, which is the worst time to jump in.
Yeah, Jack is a bit much.
Well, remember the 2000s is when everybody would need to be lean to amp stuff up, so of course they're gonna go ridiculous.
That
Oh,
is true.
yeah.
So obviously we have an icon, but this is one of the years where we get just 2 weeks straight of Halloween Horror Nights. Also, we go from 1 scare zone to 4, which is rad. So the houses are Anxiety in 3D, Total Chaos, The Fear House, Universal's Classic Monster Mania, and Dark Torment. The scare zones are The Gauntlet, Midway of Dr. Morose, Apocalypse Island, and Clown Attack. Baby girl time. Eddie Schmidt. This
Baby
man
girl.
right
Okay,
here
I
is
agree, that is baby girl.
this
That is-
man right here is the reason I even started to look into HHN lore.
Wait, is this the brother of the last guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'm connecting the dot.
You're getting it. You're getting it. So he was picked as the icon. What?
We're connecting the wires.
They're getting there. They're getting there. So he was picked as the icon for HHN 11 since slashers were kind of a big deal in the early 2000s. However, he was scrapped due to a terrorist event that took place in 2001. I'm sure you've heard about it somewhere. This began a years-long crusade against my baby girl, and I am so upset about it. At least until HHN 30, when he got his own scare zone, which got Zone of the Year, by the way. I am so normal about this, man.
Uh-huh.
Just the most normal.
Wait, so you're telling me a slasher was born in the 1800s? Yes, somehow, but we don't talk about it. Basically, we're supposed to believe this man stays a child until the 90s and grows up obsessed with slashers, especially Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Also, somehow he escaped Shady Brook Rest Home and Sanatorium and starts to live in a trailer park? Let's conveniently skip over how a literal teenager was able to afford a trailer in that economy. We have to mention the most important part of his backstory. This man started to run a haunted house in his backyard when he became a young adult. However, the teens of the trailer park didn't like this and pulled the ultimate arson prank, not knowing Eddie was trapped inside and burned him severely on his face, hands, and arms. Oddly enough, I can relate. To the house part, not the burning part. Anyway, after working through the trauma of his twin brother leaving him to basically take the brunt of all the family abuse until he also left, the bond between brothers starts to get fixed. And this means Jack can now fund Eddie's exploits. The first of which being a game show that takes place in a funhouse called Run, which is where the Chainsaw Drill Team becomes canon in the lore as Eddie's gang in this show. The whole team then becomes killers for hire using the Oddfellow name to lull people into a false sense of security with them. Eventually, Eddie decides he wants to make movies without consulting the movie duo we will talk about in a bit. And that's how we get Lights, Camera, Action, Eddie's Revenge. I accidentally added a 2, my bad. Pay no attention to the slasher behind the curtain, aka the real world effects HHN lore. So a terrorist attack happened, and Universal was like, maybe we should replace the blood with slime and bring back the clown. Super last minute, so there wasn't a lot of time to change the layout and houses. There was literally no time to get new marketing, so they just brought back the same art of Jack from the previous year. Shout out to Luigi 18512 on the HHN Wiki for showing me what they took from me even though I was 6 at the time.
Poor tofu.
HHN 11, 2001. Anyway, because of terrorism, we removed all mentions of terror and reduced the number of the number of scare zones. We've gone back to weekends, and this is basically one of the best attended years due to the crowd of, OMG, this is the best time to go to Orlando theme parks people. By the way, I didn't know those people existed until well into my adulthood. Houses. The Mummy returns. The curse continues. Pitch Black. Run, which is where Eddie is. Scary Tales and Superstitions. Scare Zones. Midway of the Bazaar. Fancy seeing you here. Nightmare Alley and The Unknown.
They keep bringing back Midway.
Yeah,
Just
kind of a theme.
It sounds like
Great
Hellview's fangirl. Kind of, Dad. Kind of.
Why every time I think of Run, I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. I'm thinking of like Run, like from Backrooms, where it's like all red and there's like alarms going off and there's a bunch of people with chainsaws chasing after you.
Because that's where they got the inspo from that.
Is that where they got the inspo
Yes.
for that level?
It
Nice.
feels like it, yeah.
I love that Backrooms level.
Yeah,
Oh
no.
my god.
Literally
They
Run.
really did rob you.
More Eddie
They
love.
did. Anyway, so no more fatherless behavior. The caretaker is here. So you like DILFs? Because Universal decided to try and make a DILF thanks to the original icon idea for 12 being scrapped due to a series of kidnappings happening in Orlando. We'll talk about her in a moment. She's actually related to this guy. Anyway, this guy is Dr. Albert Kane, aka the caretaker. Bitches with daddy issues love this guy. To be honest, I've seen a news clip of him flirting with a newscaster, and honestly, I can see it, but we'll talk about the motherfucker from my dreams in a moment.
I can't.
Used.
honey, that wig though, it needs hydrating. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
It gets better over the years, I'll be honest. The DILF comment wasn't even a joke, by the way. Everyone look at my daughter! Remember when I said this was another year with a scrapped icon? This is Sydney, Albert's daughter. Basically, Universal decided that they needed a child as the icon for the year that HHN starts to take place in Islands of Adventure. However, they decided to make a grown man the icon due to the kidnappings I mentioned. We love spooky children. Yes, we do, Chai. Hello. So where the fuck do they become relevant in the story? So no one knows exactly how Albert became Sydney's dad. There are conflicting stories due to Universal never actually keeping their story together. Seriously, the reason for this presentation is me showing off that I know more about the story than they do, and I'm 4 years younger than the event. What we do know is that Albert was a respected surgeon that became the caretaker for Shady Oaks Cemetery. He kind of hyperfixated too hard and started to perform autopsies on people that weren't quite dead, wanting to know the secret of how humans work. He also low-key gets really into taxidermy and uses the bodies as mannequins. Weird, but go off, I guess. Anyway, rumors are started, and Albert is questioned by the police. Excited to talk about his special interest, he shows them his work, and the citizens of Cary, Ohio were like, cool motive, still murder. Oh, I added an asterisk at Cary, Ohio, and I didn't add. Yeah, no, Cary, Ohio is where most of the lore takes place, even though the event is in Orlando. And burned his fucking house to the ground. They couldn't find his corpse, but they did find Sydney and put her up in the orphanage. They also found tunnels below the house, so maybe he escaped? We're not sure, but it's pretty much accepted among the fans that he died and got better. It explains it a lot more than just, he's still a human man.
So basically, his hyperfixation, girl bossed a little too close to the sun, went to the dark side.
Yeah.
And he got in trouble for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hold a house of wax, and yeah, that doesn't fly.
Yeah. Anyway, HHN 12, 2002. It's called Islands of Fear. So this is the year we actually get HHN at Islands of Adventure, thus the tagline Islands of Fear. We also get 5 houses and 6 scare zones.
Nice.
The houses are Maximum Carnage. Marvel was big mad about this one, by the way. Scary Tales 2, Fear Factor, not the show, Project Evolution, and then Scream House, backstory house for the Canes. The scare zones were Port of Evil instead of Port of Entry, Island Under Siege, Marvel would like to talk Universal, Treeks and Foons, JP Extinction, Island of Evil Souls, and Booville. Can you guess where Booville was?
On the island?
It was on the Dr. Seuss Island.
That's what I was thinking.
I have a few questions about this one, if it's okay.
Yeah, what's up?
So, did they actually use Marvel like IPs, or they just happened to name it that way?
They actually used Marvel IPs, and I'm actually about to get into that.
Oh, okay. So, is JP Extinction a Jurassic Park?
Yes,
thing?
it is.
Nice.
Okay,
So-
somebody in our system got really happy.
Yes.
Dinosaurs.
For that person, by the way, JP Extinction, the story behind it was scientists. Do you remember the line of like your scientists always thought that they could not, or never thinking about should, or that they should, or something like that? Basically, this was the next step where dinosaurs were being combined with humans.
That was the original. No, that was actually the original plot idea for a lot of Jurassic Park scripts.
Yeah. So they basically
So-
took that and made this into a haunt.
Oh my god, they need to bring it back because
Yeah.
our boy would get
Beautiful.
so happy.
That sounds horrible.
We also have
Amazing.
someone that is happy stimming in the body as well for Lilac. So yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use scientist suits with dino masks. Yes, that's what it was. Hey, you'd be surprised at how well that could work. Quick rundown of why Marvel doesn't like Halloween Horror Nights. Island Under Siege. So the concept of the zone is that the villains win and take over New York City. This is long before the MCU, so this was camp. However, Marvel didn't like the idea that their sexy villains could take over the island and told Universal Studios to never do it again. Maximum Carnage. The concept of the house is that Carnage is the one that orchestrated the entire takeover. Once again, Marvel wasn't happy about this and told Universal to never do this shit again. Also, shout out to the HHN creative team member that thought Crossbones deserved to hold a chainsaw as a treat.
I'm sorry, but Carnage is baby girl, and
He is
she can do whatever
absolute-
she wants.
Exactly. Carnage is the best baby girl.
I adore Carnage.
So, do you like rap men? Paulo Rubinsky. I want to time travel to the meeting where the Universal execs thought that making a fucking snuff filmmaker was a good idea. Anyway, time to meet my second baby girl, Paulo. Or Paolo? Or Pavel. Or Billy Skorsky. We'll talk about him in a minute. For all intents and purposes, his name is Paulo in most mentions, so that's what I know him as. Anyway, he's originally played in commercials by Gianni Garofalo, who doesn't even live in Florida. He's one half of the movie duo I mentioned. Also, for some reason, Gianni didn't know until very recently that Paulo is super popular with The Simps. It's me, I'm The Simps. Tofu, I'm getting concerned with your taste in men. It's fine, don't worry about it. He's fictional anyways, since he's the character with the most timelines. For most of them, they share the same backstory. Paulo is an aspiring filmmaker, and the first movie he made was a fictional movie called The Widow's Eye. This basically shocked all of Eastern Europe. It's never specified where because this was added in his first Hollywood event, and they dubbed him over with a horrible Slovakian accent. Gianni was pissed since he wanted to see what Hollywood would do with this character, and caused Paulo to be chased over to America. He continues making his movies and killing his actors, and Universal Studios decided this was the guy they should hire for their Haunt event, which has no actual death in it. Anyway, the execs were shocked that he actually kills people in his movies and kicks them out into the wilds of Florida. This is so much funnier than the Hollywood storyline, as instead of him being kicked out, he just lives in the backlots for months, and they just fucking let him. Literally, the execs turn a blind eye to this greasy rat man killing off randos in their park and do nothing about it. Also, he's basically able to keep up with these paranormal beings when he's just a human man. He's also known as the director, but I have a weird chronic case of I cannot refer to characters by their titles, I must use their real names, so I'm gonna call him Paulo for the rest of the presentation.
Well then.
Paulo Ravioli, thank you, Zodi.
To unpack there and not enough time.
I could just do another stream of just talking about, like, each character, like one stream for each character. I hate this motherfucker more than God himself. God damn it, Billy. Okay, so real quick, this is Singapore's version of Paulo, Billy Skorsky. He basically has the same backstory as Paulo, except that he ran to South Africa instead of America, and wound up at Universal Studios Singapore. Basically, the execs at Singapore hadn't heard of his crimes and decided that he was relatively harmless, letting him be their icon for HHN Singapore 11. Also, this is the only time one of the icons from HHN Orlando is changed almost entirely because they just straight up use Jack and Albert as they are in other years. I don't know why they did this, and I'm generally upset about it, so time to move on. Yeah.
Okay, Singapore pop off, I guess.
Singapore has also their own icons. At some point, I need to talk about Dr. White. He is the most homosexual motherfucker I have ever seen. Tofu plus... Yeah. There are plenty more. Tofu plus HHN number 3. So this is a little known fact outside of Florida, but if you're anywhere in the state watching regular TV, you used to be fucking bombarded with HHN commercials from August up until November. This is still felt to this day via billboards, which we'll talk about later. Anyway, Lil Baby Tofu used to watch TV all the time as a kid, and I always remember these commercials since they always changed between Cartoon Network reruns. Though this was about the time my dad started to let me watch Comedy Central and G4, as I was 8 and kind of processing my parents getting a divorce, along with the start of a very messy child custody battle. This meant that I got to see the adult commercials, and the one that I kind of repressed until recently was this one set of commercials where a guy with a very smooth voice and soft music playing behind him was killing people while holding a camera. I wasn't even traumatized by it. I was almost lulled to sleep by it every time. Turns out that guy was Paulo, and the song that was playing was the beginning part of You Oughta Be in Pictures. So the game was just kind of rigged from the start. I was doomed to have a crush on this pathetic rat man.
Tofu, we need to talk about your taste, hon.
We don't need to talk about your taste. You're fine, honey.
I've been here long enough, I'm not even surprised.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the support. and the concern both are valid.
I can't talk about any of this because I'm right in the same boat.
Yeah,
that's
Not with Halloween
fair.
Horror Night.
Felt
We
that.
can't talk about any of this because we basically have an altar that's inspired by HHN.
Yeah.
Yay.
I also have no room to talk because the first time I ran into a freaking pyramid head in DVD, I'm just like, oh, yeah, nope. Hi.
I also need to communicate about my wife's interest in men in particular.
Men's.
Yeah.
Oh, Zodi muted for that one. Oh no.
Of course they did. So, HHN 13, 2003. And another year where we have all the weekends in October and the first night of November, and this dramatic bitch fucking deserves it. Also, we've gone up to 6 houses, and we still have 6 scare zones, one for each island at Islands of Adventure. So the houses are Ship of Screams, Fun House of Fear, Jungle of Doom, Psycho Scarapy, All Night Die-In, and Scream House Revisited. The scare zones are Port of Evil, Toxic City, aka Twitter, Hide and Shriek, Night Prey, Immortal Island, and Booville. Did you like my Twitter comment?
I did.
It's very good. Okay, so HHN 14, 2004. So we've dropped the icon concept for this year, a bold choice since the icons were drawing in a ton of the locals, but we've expanded the event to both parks, which is why we have 7 houses, but I'm not sure why we only have 4 scare zones. The houses are Disorientorium, Hellgate Prison, Horror in Wax, Ghost Town, Castle Vampire, Horror Nights Nightmares, and Deadtropolis. The scare zones are Fright Yard, Field of Screams, Midway of the Bazaar, oh fuck, they're back again, and
Oh,
Point
God.
of Evil.
I can only assume they downsized the scare zones to focus on making sure the event went well at the second park.
I hope so. So we have Killer Grandma Cornell. There's more than one Elsa in Orlando. So this is Elsa Strict, and she's absolute goals for who I want to be when I'm an old lady. She really doesn't have a backstory for her first year. The second year she's in actually gave her a backstory, which can be summarized.
This lady.
Yeah, she
Sorry.
can be. Her backstory can be summarized with: as a child, this woman ate a demon, and it drove her insane, causing her to kill her mom. And I love her for it. She's also called the Storyteller. My man Dean Carr literally making art from photos and film with her in the previous icons.
I'm horrified that I can't even say anything because we have members of system who would do that.
Her most famous kill is actually like one from the commercials. For a while, they actually could not settle on an actor for her in the commercials and the advertisements. So one of the actors got fucking girl boss. Had a dude on a bed of nails, and she was reading a bedtime story to him, and then she fucking cuts a rope next to him and drops an anvil on his head.
Oh,
It's sick.
That is some Acme bullshit.
Oh yeah, straight up like Looney Tunes bullshit.
I am actively going to YouTube after this to see if I can find any of these commercials.
You absolutely can. If you want, I have a ton of links.
Please send. Please
Will
send.
do. Will do. Actually, a friend of mine has a bunch of like Halloween Horror Nights media just archived on her YouTube. It's fantastic. I love you, Katie. You're amazing.
Oh, I have to ask you this probably after stream. Never mind.
You're good. So Dad also says the Bill and Ted show for the previous year was one of the best. Walking both parks was tiring. They also brought back the Beetlejuice show that year. This was the first year that Hollywood picked the icon. Jay Macaroni was not happy. That's when he went back to create her story. Yeah, that makes sense. A second icon, enter the baddest bitch ever and her translator. Okay, so technically Elsa wasn't supposed to be the icon for 15. It was actually supposed to be the Terror Queen, ruler of a land called Terraquentis, and she's always accompanied by her translator, Eelmouth, played by the same man who plays Jack, by the way. I'm not actually sure what was supposed to happen, or what happened here, but it sure feels like Elsa was added absolute last second to appease someone, but even the lore keepers I know don't know. Quick tour around Terra Cruentus. You start off at the Terra Gate. You're starting to see the naming scheme, huh? And every scare zone in this year is a different part of Terra Cruentus, the country that the Terra Queen rules. This gate is where the Ritual de Blood takes place, and it's where the Gorewood tree is located, which grows a bloodberry. Excuse me, fucking what? That's later turned into wine and served to the blackguards at the Demon Cantina. Then we have the fire pits, which is where the Terra Throne blade is forged with stone from flesh and iron from blood. Up next is the cemetery mines, where the bodies of the victims from the Ritual de Blood are buried so that their bodies become stone and iron. The mines are guarded by knuckle grunts who hate light. Also, finally we have Blood Thunder Alley, which is where the Bone Chopper riders make merriment before going off on their duties. This is also where that Demon Cantina I mentioned earlier is located. Anyway, at the end of the year, they killed the Terra Queen and said she'll be back in 5 years. We'll touch on that later in this slideshow.
So Thunderdome, but make it horror.
Essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Chai, it's okay. That's fine. If anything, if your phone has Bluetooth and your car has Bluetooth, you can have stream up on your phone and play it through your car speakers. What do you think I do whenever Zodi's streaming and I have to go home from work?
It really sounds like some kind of D&D nerd really got into this one.
Yeah, so I believe this was J. Michael Roddy, who was just really into D&D at the time. Anyways,
you think?
Checks out.
So HHN 15, 2005. We're back in Islands of Adventure again, and we've started to creep into September for the dates. The scare zones are all the areas in Terra Quentus I mentioned, and the houses that kind of coordinate. Also, it's kind of funny that this is basically Mad Max but demons.
I was right.
Yeah.
Aaron, you saw the D&D movie today? Good. It's very good.
good.
If you like D&D, and if you have a party that you actually like, please go watch it with them. Like, watching it as a party is an experience.
Yeah, no, like, throughout a lot of it, my partner and I were just kind of, like, leaning over to each other, just like, so what class do you think they are? This? Yeah, this.
Yeah. No,
they used that.
No, that's exactly how me and the system's dad went. Like, we're constantly like, that was definitely a nat 20, and that was a nat 1.
Oh yeah.
I think I know which nat one you're talking about.
Literally.
I cry.
Failed concentration check is beautiful.
The Gmod ragdoll moment. Yes, correct. Anyway, back on track. HHN 15. Houses. Demon Cantina. The School. Body Collectors. Terror Mines. Where Evil Hides. Cold Blind Terror and Blood Ruins. The scare zones are the areas we mentioned earlier. So how do we gather the icons? The Lord of Darkness appears. Okay, so we've come upon the Sweet 16 of HHN. This means we should totally bring back all of our super popular characters. How? Well, we have a movie from 1985 that can help. I'm not kidding you. Universal execs thought that bringing Darkness from Legend 1985 to HHN for a stage show to summon the icons was a good idea. Please look at how miserable my greasy rat Blarbo is with everyone else here.
Oh.
I can't blame him.
It's like this is too much. This is too much for my artistic vision.
Yeah, as Dad mentioned, they've had the Legend like mask and prosthetics since 1995, by the way.
But like the body does not match the.
No, it doesn't.
They needed somebody so much broader.
They did. Well, usually he was used in the parade, so he was like way far off, so that way, like, perspective-wise, it worked. HHN Sweet 16, 2006. We've gone back to the original Universal Studios park, and we have 4 icons, technically 5 if you count Darkness, along with 7 houses and 3 zones. Each icon is in a house, and some of the others return in a surprise 4th zone. Houses. Psychoscarapy, Maximum Madness, which is a Jack house. All Night Dyin', Take 2, which is Paulo's house. Scream House, The Resurrection, which is Albert's house. Popping in for a moment while I'm currently having enrichment time. Yes.
Sorry. Just the tofu dad, just always king of the parade, was always airbrushed abs.
Yeah. I'll be honest, Universal Studios still airbrushes like certain things on certain actors. I'm not over the
And you
clown.
do, you gotta.
I'm not
This
over.
this is funny.
It's amazing.
It's fair, yeah.
Anyway, so then we have Run, Hostile Territory. Eddie! Dungeon of Terror, Retold, which is an Elsa house. Psychopath, The Return of Norman Bates. Technically could be Apollo house. Turns out Apollo is just a Norman Bates skinny. People Under the Stairs, under construction. Then the scare zones are Blood Masquerade, Deadtropolis, Zombie Siege, Harvest of the Souls, and then the bonus zone is Horror Comes Home, which is where some of the other characters will show up. Like Cindy.
Sorry.
Okay. Next time he shows up, look me in the eyes and tell me he is not a Norman Bates skinny.
Just dying!
Hello, Chance. God, I love women that can kill me. Yes, we finally get to talk about Chance despite mentioning her 25 slides ago. Anyway, this is Chance, who was introduced during HHN 17 in the Carnival of Carnage stage show. She's Jack's right-hand woman, and I love her. I promise she gets better makeup in the following years we see her in, but the outfits are always chef's kiss.
So,
Yeah.
Harley Quinn, if she went way darker.
Not really. So what's her
No?
lore? To be honest, she had almost as much lore as Elsa, and it's sad. Basically, all that Universal is sure about is that she's Jack's assistant, and her mannerisms are based on Baby Firefly. Though some pieces of lore put together from various sources, lots of fans have put together that Chance was actually one of Dr. Oddfellow's clowns and basically started to listen to Jack more than Oddfellow over time. She also has mind powers? That's never really explained, but I'll explain how it becomes relevant later. Anyway, it's unclear whether the relationship between her and Jack is purely platonic, genuinely romantic, or just sexual. But no one can deny their chemistry is fantastic. If you need a less toxic version of Joker and Harley, you can definitely ship these two clowns and you'll get much better results. Also, her favorite weapons are throwing knives, which she's scarily good at using. Yeah, she was the last J. Macarati icon, by the way. Also, clown development. Jack gets a cool jacket. Okay, so the lore behind this year is that Jack finally killed Dr. Oddfellow, stole his coat, and took over his circus. Part of that is summoning various horror beings, including Freddy Krueger, Bubba Sawyer, and Jason Voorhees.
Oh, Jason, hi.
Yeah.
Jason.
So, Tofu plus HHN number 4. Morphin to Morphin communication. So HHN 17 was kind of the year I really started to want to go to HHN, despite growing up with the advertising everywhere and my experience with Paulo's commercials. The reason? We used to pass by a billboard with this very image on it right by Busch Gardens during this year on the way to my mom's house. Seeing my slasher boys on it really made me want to go. I simp for someone good with knives. That's fair, Lilac. Also,
I can't.
Why?
I'm a simp for someone good with knives. I can't help myself.
That's fine. That's fine. Same here. You're fine. You're among people that understand.
Yeah.
Also, don't worry. We'll be touching on what morphins are later. It's a whole thing. HHN Carnival of Carnage, 2007. We're up to 8 houses, an icon, and 1 park-wide scare zone with mini sections throughout the park. Also, it's the beginning of Universal using Jack whenever they're lacking in ideas, but that's just a theory. A theme park theory! So the houses are Dead Silence, The Curse of Mary Shaw, Psychoscarapy, Home for the Holidays, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Dreamwalkers, Vampire, Bloodbath, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Flesh Wounds, Friday the 13th, Camp Blood, The Thing, Assimilation, Jack's Funhouse in Clownovision. And the scare zone is Midway of the Bazaar. Again.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So much? Why so much?
Oh, I promise you, you'll get tired of this and Walking Dead soon enough.
It's probably because we spent all the budget on one thing. What can we do? Just bring back out Midway. We can do. Okay.
Essentially, yes. That's kind of what happens every time you see something come back in HHN. Time for the Dr. Crane Kinney. Mary, quite contrary. So this is HHN's version of Bloody Mary, Dr. Mary Agana. Yes, she looks like a Deadite. No, that's not the reason why she's a weird topic when it comes to talking about icons. I'll be explaining why she can't ever legally be at HHN again before diving into her lore and the fantastic icon that's attached to it.
Wait, what?
Also, Dad brings up a good point. Clowns are cheap.
Yeah.
Also, hi, Red. So things get weird with copyrights. So the real reason we can't really see Mary at HHN beyond this year, I'm about to explain, is that she was made by someone that didn't allow their work with Universal to be Universal's property. That means, whatever they made, they could take with them once they left Universal, and Universal could never fully use their works without explicit permission. However, this is the only part of HHN 18 that isn't able to be used in the future, as everything else attached to the lore this year can be used. To be honest, I'm not sure who has the copyrights. I'm sure someone out there knows more about the situation. Jordan! Who will tell me who. But I'm gonna avoid talking about names because privacy. Also, yes, this is Mary pre-curse.
So she was hot, and then they made her that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she was hot both ways, but...
They made her hot and they made her hot again. She girl
Exactly.
bossed. She girl bossed really hard.
She did. Anyway, on to her lore. Dr. Mary Agana is the latest in a bloodline of cursed bad bitches, her grandma being the original Bloody Mary, but only the family knows this. Mary was named after said grandma and has a doctorate in psychology, specializing in fears and phobias. Yes, I know this sounds like Scarecrow, but trust me, it gets worse, TM. Anyway, she's doing exposure therapy sessions when she inherits a mirror from her grandma, and this turns out to be a mirror into the mirror dimension. Slowly but surely, the mirror corrupted Mary to the point that she becomes the new Bloody Mary, using exposure therapy on her victims until they start dropping like flies. And that's when another icon comes into play.
Oh.
By disaster detective time. Boris Schuster, I presume. When I tell you this year has so much lore, I fucking mean it. Anyway, Boris here is a character we don't really see until 2021, but he's mentioned a lot in HHN 18. If you like Spider-Man Noir, like me, then you'll love Mr. Schuster here. Also, if you like any of these characters, please go follow Cryptic Guts everywhere. Sterling is the best HHN fan artist and official artist. I love him so much. He's also an absolute sweetheart. Please buy his stuff. So where the fuck does he fit in here? Okay, so basically Boris heard about these disappearances and hired a photographer named Charlie McPherson to look into it, since he suffered from claustrophobia and was looking for therapy anyway. Well, he got put in an airtight glass box and fucking dies because Dr. Agana is fucking insane by now. The lack of response from Charlie makes Boris go, uh-oh, there's some fuckery afoot, and investigate. This means that he and Mary get to interact. He also gets a little bit of therapy, but it's kind of useless because she tries to kill him and he manages to fight back. Basically, his interference with her practice is what makes her go fully into the mirror dimension, thus starting the lore for HHN 18. However, Boris's lore doesn't start here, so I'ma keep going. Anyway, after the Mary incident, Boris helps found the legendary truth, the Collective. He also has an office right across the street from the Kitty Cat Club, which will become relevant much, much later.
We saw that.
Yeah!
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he's been there since before Park opened, before even Fright Night. Can see it in the movie Oscar. Yes, correct. You can actually still go see it to this day. SCP, but make it HHN. Legendary Truth, the Collective. Welcome to the government corruption art of Welcome to the government corruption arc of HHN. No, I'm not kidding. The title isn't even inaccurate. Legendary Truth is just bad at their jobs compared to SCP. Anyway, this group is basically the in-lore reason for a bunch of stuff, and we'll get into that later. HHN Reflections of Fear 2008. So the concept of this year is that Mary is now in control of the mirror dimension and is accepting new patients. We've also fully taken over the last weekend of September, every weekend in October, and November 1st again. When will we have November nights again, Universal, please? Anyway, so the houses are Reflections of Fear, Scary Tales, Once Upon a Nightmare, Creatures, Interstellar Terror, Dead Exposure, Doomsday, The Hallow, and Body Collectors, Collections of the Past. Oh yeah, we'll get into the early ARG. Scare Zones, Asylum in Wonderland, Fractured Tales, The Path of the Wicked, The Schoolhouse, American Gothic, and Streets of Blood. Here
Wait,
comes...
hold on.
There's the
Yeah.
boy.
November 1st when it falls on a Sunday?
Usually that's basically when they have November 1st, is when it lands on a Sunday.
Okay. I was concerned you guys didn't get that anymore, because Callie still gets that.
Oh, I'm aware. Just Orlando does not fucking get that.
Oh.
Yeah, it sucks. Anyway, here comes the boy. Hello, boy. Everyone, please welcome to the stage the second half of the movie duo, Julian Browning. He's also known as the Usher, but in true Tofu fashion, I'm going to be calling him Julian. Anyway, he's a movie buff who lives in a haunted house or in a haunted theater, and he fucking loves puns. Also, he's super freaking tall. I'm kicking my feet and twirling my hair over this man. He's also Zodi's favorite icon.
Yes.
That's why he's Zodi's favorite. The puns. I get it now.
Yes. Well, also tall, and also he's a tragic boy. Julian and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, TM. Julian was a guy that managed to get a job at the Universal Palace Theater during the 1930s. He's a stickler for the rules, so he's actually good at his job as an usher for the theater. However, one day in 1940, during a showing of Phantom of the Opera, Julian's literal favorite movie, one of the viewers got into a fight with him and grabbed his heavy-ass flashlight, then throwing it through the screen, literally ripping the screen open. As Julian went to grab it and punish the viewer even more, he got caught in the ropes, held down but with sandbags, and ended up being hanged to death. Apparently, this is the first of several bad things to happen in the theater, making it super fucking haunted. Now the Universal Palace Theater is an abandoned theater with Julian just kind of living in it as an undead guy, and he fucking loves every second of it. Also, there's no explanation, but he has other ushers as minions. He's the only other icon to have underlings besides Jack, and we don't really have an explanation for it.
I love him.
I mean, the only theory that immediately pops into my brain is he died and went, I'm just gonna take all of them for me now.
Kind of? I guess.
I love him.
Tofu plus HHN number 5. Yes, my favorite.
Heard Zodi in the background.
Yes.
Yep.
Tofu plus HHN number 5. Remember those commercials that I talked about way earlier? Yeah, those are still haunting. Floridians at the time, including a 14-year-old Tofu. Thanks to the commercials for HHN 19, I never actually heard the song Let's All Go to the Lobby outside of a horror context. Literally. This streak was kept up right up until right before I went to HHN Light. I'll explain this later, trust me. When I heard it somewhere in a movie once. Julian and Paulo left weird impressions on younger Tofu before even going to HHN for the first time, so the game was definitely rigged from the start.
Fair.
HHN ripped from the silver screen, 2009. Back to basics for Universal. We've got 8 houses now and 6 zones with a bonus zone. We're leaning heavily on the movie aesthetic, and the media campaigns for this year were literally the best. Let's bring it back, Universal. So the houses are Silver Screams, which is Julian's house. Saw, The Wolfman, my love, Chucky, Friends Till the End, Dracula, Legacy and Blood, Frankenstein, Creation of the Damned, The Spawning, and Leave It to Cleaver. We also have the zones, which are Lights, Camera, Haction, Cirque du Freak, Horror Would Die In, Apocalypse, City of Cannibals, Containment, War of the Living Dead, and the bonus zone, Shadows from the Past.
Nice.
Yeah, I love this man. He's great.
I'm very excited.
Hey, remember that fear god I mentioned earlier? He's relevant now. Meet Ataru, the Sumerian god of fear. This creature is basically the reason for the entire event and the icons to exist. Oh yeah, Cirque du Freak was just midway of the bazaar again. Just French.
Well, then.
Anyway, he's also fascinated with people that are taller than 6 foot and in those little electric carts. Thanks Zodi for my witnessing this. So he's behind everything? Kind of. Basically, the story of his influence over HHN starts with a lantern that Universal's art and design team, A&D for short, just kind of had there. He's been choosing Heralds of Fear to help prepare for his appearance at HHN 20, which consists of Jack being the Herald of Chaos, Albert being the Herald of Death, Elsa is the Herald of Legend, Paulo is the Herald of Sacrifice, and Julian is the Herald of Vengeance. He also has them all wearing his mark, which is kind of toxic, but go off, I guess. Anyway, he also has little lantern minions. Also, you thought Julian was tall? Adaru is literally so tall, he has to be played by stilt walkers, even in houses he's featured in. Another note, the only icon visibly and audibly pissed about this is Jack. The others are kind of indifferent.
Huh.
Yeah. So HHN 20 Years of Fear, 2010. This is the second year where we look back on HHN's history and also look to the future of HHN. We've also got 8 houses, 6 zones, and we've taken over the second to last weekend of September and all of October. Houses, Horror Nights, The Hallowed Past, Orphanage, Ashes to Ashes, Sydney Gets a House! Hades, Gates of Ruined, Psycho Scarabee, Echoes of Shadybrook, Havoc, Dogs of War, Catacombs, Black Death Rising, Zombiegeddon, and Legendary Truth, The Wyandotte Estate. First Legendary Truth house, woo! The scare zones are HHN 20 Years of Fear, Fear Revealed, Zombie Gra, Esqueleto Muerte. I am so sorry for Spanish speakers. I don't know how to fucking pronounce that shit. Saws and Steam, and The Coven. Are you feeling lucky? Because luck be a pretty lady. Okay, I love luck so much. Okay, so for HHN...
I do not. Can I say
I know.
why real quick?
You can say why.
Can I say why? That looks exactly like our aunt who lives in Vegas.
Which is so funny, considering the concept.
No.
Yeah.
I
I
could-
remember this conversation.
I can see that. And, okay, so for HHN 21, the Universal Execs made a brilliant decision to make the literal goddess of luck the icon for the year. She can go from a vixen to a monster within seconds, and I think she deserves so much more HHN time. Also, there's no real lore here, so just enjoy the hot ginger lady. Unless you're mystery.
Very hot, very nice. I simp.
It literally looks like our aunt's. No, it can't be hot. Sorry.
You're good. Also, blood and guts time. Time to meet the horror host. Okay, so time to talk about this little guy who lives in Cary, Ohio, named HR Blood and Guts. He's a local horror host, which was a phenomenon that took over the U.S. basically essentially in the 80s. Basically, these old public channels needed to fill time late at night, so they bought copyright-free bad horror movies and had people chime in before, during, and after the movies with commentary. She looks like the redheaded version of our aunt, but I'm choosing to ignore it. Oh my god. How many of y'all have luck as your aunt?
Does it make it better or worse if our aunt
Not
also
us.
lives in Vegas?
Oh no.
How many aunts are over in Vegas? I gotta know. Because, like, I have an aunt that lives in Vegas.
So at least 3.
Anyway, so his lore is that he basically went insane while being a horror host and started to kill the people at his station. Yeah. Also, I went Cardinalcopia when I saw him for the first time, but someone swiftly told me about him.
There.
HHN 21, 2011. So with that out of the way, time to go over the houses and zones. Every house has to do with luck and fate, and there are 8 again, along with 6 zones. The houses are Nevermore, the Madness of Poe, The Forsaken, The Thing. Not actually the 1980s, not actually the movie classic, but it's actually like HHN's take on it, but it's still based on the original movie. It's a whole thing. It's actually pretty great. BRB gonna go annoy my dog with half of the tiny blanket. Okay. Saws and Steam, HR Blood and Guts presents Holidays of Horror, The In-Between, Winter's Night, The Haunting of Hawthorne Cemetery, Nightingales, Blood Prey. And the scare zones are Acid Assault, Canyon of Dark Souls, Grown Evil, 7, Night Maze, and Your Luck Has Run Out.
Ooh.
The Poe house had the biggest budget ever for the house, for a house at HHN. Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, remember when I talked about Morphins? Well, now's where that comes into play. Legendary Truth is the group that started to categorize icons and various other characters in HHN into Legions of Horror, which is a fancy way of saying Hogwarts houses for nerds. For horror nerds. The Legion names are as follows: Strangoid, Cerebin, Morphin, hey, that's me, Mascorian, Karazhan, Zodi's here, and Bacanoid. These are actually
Wait.
silly... What?
We need explanations for that.
I will be explaining each and every one of them. These are actually still used to this day in canon, and each one is super fascinating. Strengoids. So these are the vampires, basically, with few exceptions. Thanks to HHN Legacy, I can tell you exactly how Universal describes them. The Strengoid are obsessively passionate, sometimes overcome by their own desires. During such periods, they are singularly focused in satisfying their needs. They are often seductive in all genders and are known to convert those they meet to their line, transforming individuals into fellow Strengoid. Self-described night people, passionate, seductive, sensual. Unusual athletic prowess when excited. Fashionable, proud, unusually well-groomed. And here's the family tree. Thanks to HHN Legacy for being so thorough in saving this. Also, I wouldn't describe Paulo as well-groomed, but he definitely fits the rest of the bill despite just being a human man. So yeah, this includes Nosferatu, Dracula, Vlad Tepes, the Brides of Dracula, Lust, Lady Bathory, the Skull Dancers, I believe that's what it says, Lady Luck, Tau Sisters, the Sirens, Norman Bates, the Incubus, the Succubus, Lucretin Borgia, and the Cantina Demons.
I wouldn't describe Norman Bates as exceptionally well-groomed either.
Yeah. Also Strahd, yes. If you play D&D, Strahd would fit in here.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
Then we have Serabins. These are your typical monsters, like Wolfman and Guildman. This is basically the Tofu's favorite arm candy legion, and I love them so much. The official description of them is, Serabin are powerful and exhibit innate animal instinct. Given to might rather than reason, they are keenly perceptive and extraordinarily sensory capability, with extraordinary sensory capabilities, and enjoy nighttime darkness unobserved. But they miss nothing. Primal, athletic, muscular, quick movers. Given to physical fitness, especially weight training. The lineage looks kind of like this. We don't talk about Attila the fucking Hun being a Serabin enough as a society. Also, none of the icons fit here. It's kind of strange since they almost all fit in the other legions. So we got Attila the Hun, Orcs, Darkness, Wolfman, Grendel, Igor, which for those that don't know, Igor was a little green demon that was used in the marketing for HHN 7.
I thought you were about to make a Young Frankenstein reference.
No, I wish. We have the Creature, which is the creature from the Black Lagoon. The Nightingales. The Flying Monkeys. Yes, the Flying Monkeys are canon in HHN, by the way.
What?
Yeah. The Rat Lady. Nightmare. Raptors. And Knuckle Grunts. Yeah.
Okay.
So, real quick, Igor is what me and my sibling called the Eating Eye Guy because he was the one that was on the staff shirt from the year that my dad worked. So we didn't know his name, so we just called him Eating Eye Guy. Morphins. HHN Legacy calls them traditionals, but I like to call them theater kids that never really grew out of it. This is the legion that I'm a part of. Morphins are basically on a scale of Phantom of the Opera to Jack the Clown, and I'm clearly somewhere in the middle. The official description is, the Morphin are clearly deceptive. Given to elaborate disguise, they are generally small in stature and delight in practical jokes, pranks, and surprises. Playful to a fault. Can be vindictive, vengeful, and mean-spirited when insulted. At times immature in behavior, but they do have fun and love to party. This is the most chaotic of the family trees, too. Look at this shit.
Yeah.
Also,
That's
why the fuck is Chucky here? Put that thing right back where it came from, Marcel, help me. I'll be honest, I hate Chucky as a character.
I love Chucky. He was my favorite growing up.
That's okay. Also, Sydney, my daughter. I love her. So, the people on the Morphin family tree are Richard III, the Treeks and Foons. Richard III is the only royalty where his grave was hidden. Yeah, that's fair. Phantom of the Opera, Edward Teach, I don't know. Jack Schmidt.
You don't know Edward Teach?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Corpse Hunt Screaming.
I'm sorry. Anyway, Chance is here, HR Blood and Guts, the Orphans, the Schoolhouse Students, and Sydney Kane, along with Chucky. So the Mascorians. Also, yes, Blackbeard is there too, if I remember. Mascorians are some terrifying motherfuckers since they're great at technology. Think Wesker and Moira but social when you think about Mascorians. The description for them is even creepier. Oh, that's Blackbeard. Oh, thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate you. Mascorian are strong but can be cruel to those of lesser ability. They travel in gangs and are masters of mechanical weaponry that more than compensate for any lack of physical superiority. A Mascorian pack is almost always organized, and each individual is descended from the strongest of dominant leaders. Tribal, hierarchical, deceptively strong of body, and they are even stronger of will. Their tree is awesome, too. So, we have, fire demons, ice demons, we have, Julius Caesar, we have the Terra Queen, Illmouth, Ivan, the Fourth, which I remember is Ivan the Terrible, Lizzie Borden, the Chainsaw Drill Team, Blood Abbey, monks, or the Blood Alley monks, the Blackguard, Eddie is there. We stand the Chainsaw Drill Team in this house. Also, Eddie's a Mascorian, my husband. Also, Elsa is here. I think it's from her commercial where she had a dude tied to a bed of nails with an anvil over his head. We also have Warden Strickland and the Bride of Frankenstein.
Can I just point out your father said in chat that he's failed as a father because you didn't know who Blackbeard was by first name?
Bro, he says that about a lot of shit.
So Mascorians were baby girls then.
Yes, Mascorian is the ultimate, like, baby girl family tree. So, Karazin.
I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't consider Lizzie Borden baby girl, but you know, to each their own.
Majority baby girl. I didn't
Yeah.
say all of them can't be all baby girl.
Yeah. So, Karazins. These are your other undead beyond vampires, like ghouls and zombies. This legion can also include dead inside people, like Zodi. Their description... Their description
Bestie.
is the Karazin... God. There, hold on.
Look, it's a fact. Give me something.
Bestie, we love you.
Look, I took the quiz. I got this one. I'm owning it, okay?
Okay, need to share the quiz after this, but
I
go
will
on.
definitely do that. It's a very good quiz. Anyways, so the Karazin are relentless, do not move fast, but also will not stop. Although they often appear to unite as a group, these are individuals out for themselves with absolutely no interest in the others of their line. Hello? What the fuck was that noise?
Someone used bits to play a sound.
Oh shit. Oh, it was the Warden Advances. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm also in an ancient city at the moment. This is great.
Anyway, so, with absolutely no interest in the others of their line. And so, it is just by coincidence they have gathered in pursuit of sustenance, singular and focused, unconcerned with what others think, inspirational to novelists, filmmakers, and playwrights. To be honest, their tree is a little graphically weird. So we have the Mummy, Ramses II, or Ramses II, my bad, Antonio Cabot, Frankenstein's monster, I can't read one of those, the Fritanic Crew, Aaron the Moor, Julian Browning, Charlie McPherson, Body Collectors, Elizabeth and Jonathan Hawthorne. Well, thank you for the bit, Dad. I appreciate the singular penny.
The X something is the weird one that's hard to read.
Yeah, I can't read it. I'll find it somewhere. Anyway, the Mummy and Frankenstein's monster are here, also loving the wood aesthetic. Also, Julian's here, so Zodi is in the same legion as their favorite icon. And the Fritanic Crew. Kinda funny my dad's here, but I'm a morphin, lol. Bacanoids. These are your more crafty killers. The normal humans that can just keep up with the craziness of the monsters around them. Think Invisible Man or Riddler when you think about Bacanoids. The way Universal describes them is, a Bacanoid is stealthy, disciplined, and agile. Smarter than most, they pride themselves on their peak physical condition and like to change appearance often. Obsessive, quick, disciplined, societal, inquisitive. Excellent problem solvers, they love puzzles, riddles, and games. I like the design of their tree the most. So we have By the way, Boris is here. Basically, this is where Universal was like, you might fit in one of the Legions too, and every HHN nerd just fucking clung to it. Also, obligatory Invisible Man, my beloved, because what is self-control when it comes to me being me? So we have the Invisible Man, Confucius, Edgar Allan Poe, fucking James Moriarty, Dr. Richard Steepington? I think that's what it says. Jack the Ripper, the Super Soldiers, Albert Kane, Dr. Mariagana, Boris Schuster, and a couple others that I cannot fucking read, because I made them too small. So why the fuck are those relevant now? Because this was the first year that Universal did something that we now know as an alternate reality game, or ARG for short. I can't find a whole lot about this, so a lot of this is from HHN Legacy, which I've showcased on this channel before. To make a long explanation short for a probably long stream, you'd log into the Horror Unearthed website, and the adventure began. Clicking on each icon or Legion's vial would direct you to play little games on the website. Completing the games would earn you and that Legion life force. You could also get achievements for playing certain games a set amount of times, and some achievements would even put the little Legion icons next to your name as they were Legion specific. Once HHN 22 started, things got more intense. You were given an RFID card to scan at the end of each house, which gave you life force, but the real gains were in the actual tasks you could be assigned. Some of these were Legion specific, some were just general tasks. The most common was the 7-in-1 task, which would require you to go through every house in one night. The last night was the most important though, as each task required players to track down literal cloaked figures in the park. There would be 3 cloaked figures in each area, but only one was real and could actually scan your badge. It was kind of beautiful since the clues were posted online in real time, and the Horror Unearthed Facebook group would actually help solve the clues to find the real figures and where they were. They had some zigzag across the parks, exactly. The prize for this, water, cookies, and a Q&A with the fucking legends behind this game. You can actually find it on YouTube to watch. I recommend it after stream.
That's really cool.
Yeah. HHN 22, 2012. Yeah, literally all of that was lore.
Longest lore ever.
Literally. Anyway, besides the really cool ARG that Art and Design put together, this was kind of the start of why there was a Walking Dead fatigue for a bit. We've gone from 8 houses to 7, and we've got one big scare zone again, with wandering hordes representing the legions too. Also, way more IPs for some reason. The houses are Dead End, Gothic, Universal's House of Horrors, The Walking Dead, Dead Inside, Welcome to Silent Hill, Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare, and Penn and Teller, Nuked in Vegas. The Scare Zone is just the Legions of Horror. This was the first year a video game IP was actually turned into a house, by the way. To be honest, the one big Scare Zone concept wasn't really well received this year, since some people like the breaks between zones, and the hordes were kind of hard to find a lot of the time.
Fair.
HHN 23, 2013. We've gone back up to 8 houses, but we're still keeping the one big Scare Zone concept not a lot of people liked. Also, we heard you liked IPs, so we've got more IPs for you. This year includes Resident Evil, Escape from Raccoon City. It's actually based on Resident Evil 2, if I remember, because there was a lot of Leons. The Walking Dead, No Safe Haven. Evil Dead. The Cabin in the Woods. Fantastic movie, please go watch it. An American Werewolf in London. Urban Legends, La Llorona. Hollywood's success was being brung over to Orlando that year. IPs are easier than creating their own. Yeah, that's true. And also, IPs will bring in more people. Especially from outside of Florida. Afterlife, Death's Vengeance, and Havoc Derailed. The one big Scare Zone is Walking Dead, The Undead Streets. Lore-wise, things get a bit boring this and the next year, but things genuinely get interesting at the end of 24, which we'll touch on that in a second. Basically, they were like, that was way too much lore for 22, so we're gonna give you a break for a couple years.
Lore people were just like, wait, all our lore. What?
Wait. Myron is going crazy right now because the horror house is like, bring that one back, the first one there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. HHN 24, 2014. So this is another year where we have 8 houses, but we've gone back up to 4 zones. See, sometimes Universal can listen to their fans.
Really?
So the houses are AVP, Alien vs. Predator, Dollhouse of the Damned, Dracula Untold, Reign of Blood, Giggles and Gore, Inc., Halloween, yes, we're talking the original 1980, was it 1980 or 1979 movie. Roanoke, Cannibal Colony, The Walking Dead, End of the Line, and From Dusk Till Dawn. Yes, we are talking about the one with fucking, that really fun one with the cock gun. No, I am not kidding, by the way. Scare zones are Bayou of Blood, Face Off, In the Flesh, Masquerade, Unstitched, and The Purge, Anarchy. Honestly, The Purge is such a great concept for a scare zone. I wish to experience it one year.
That sounds fun.
Jack's back, baby! So what did I miss? Remember how I mentioned that Jack wasn't too happy about what Adaru did? Well, he's back and he's here to prove a point. He doesn't need a fucking god of fear to tell him what to do. He's also got a much cooler coat, making the outfit everyone calls his rockstar outfit, which is my personal favorite of his outfits. Also, Chance's outfit matches his. It's adorable.
Really, they do match.
Yeah. I actually really like this outfit for her. Wait, if he's free, then yes, that means the others are free from the lantern too. However, for some reason, Adaru is still kept within it. But we don't question it, since we got some golden pictures from the Icons HHN zone.
Maybe they kept him trapped in there as, like, revenge for what he did.
Which makes sense.
Oh, look at them. They're holding hands.
Yes.
Oh, it's gay. Oh, no.
Yeah. HHN 25, 2015. Oh, yeah. For those that don't know, Sex Machine was in that house that I mentioned earlier. Until Dawn. Or From Dusk Till Dawn. Yes, there's a character named Sex Machine. Please, it's very good.
Okay.
That's fine, Pocket. Anyway. Thanks again for the bit, Dad. When you ask HHN fans what the perfect year was, they'll most likely point to this year, as it was the perfect blend of HHN original content and IPs. Also, we got a zone where the icons could interact, and the videos of it live rent-free in my head. The houses. Jack Presents 25 Years of Monsters and Mayhem, An American Werewolf in London, Freddy vs. Jason, Body Collectors, Recollections, Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears, Eddie, my love. Also, this is honestly my favorite version of Run. The concept of it is that it's a fucking TV game show, and everyone dies. It's fantastic. The Purge. R.I.P. the Scream House idea. So, real quick, The Purge was actually supposed to originally be the 1996 Scream movie. And then they couldn't get the rights at the last second, so they turned it into The Purge.
Oh.
Yeah, it sucks. One day I'll get Ghostface at the event, goddammit. They even had it, like, to the point where they were filming the commercials, and you could see an unedited version of the commercial for this year with Ghostface in it. But there's versions, the versions that they aired were the ones where they cut him. Anyway, we get Asylum in Wonderland 3D, The Walking Dead, The Living and the Dead, and Insidious. Which is the first, Blumhouse house, if I remember. Scare Zones, Psychoscarapy, Unleashed, Icons, HHN, Scary Tales, Screampunk, Evil's Roots, and All Night Die-In, double feature. To be honest, when I need an injection of spookiness, I go and watch the videos of the stage show and the Icons HHN zone. They're all fantastic, and I want this during a year that I can finally attend.
That sounds super cool.
It's fucking cool.
I need links to some of these.
Oh, absolutely. I will show you, basically everything that I can. Oops, they got caught. So basically, the cops only caught only Jack and Chance, putting Jack back in his box and Chance in an asylum. This is where she gets to show off her psychic powers. Basically, she has a theater of the mind where anything she thought of became real. That's basically the entire lore for this year. Also, she gets a new outfit. My favorite part of the lore here that we don't talk about enough is how Albert, Elsa, Paulo, and Julian are just wandering the world as this happens.
Causing mayhem elsewhere and haven't been caught yet.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of this lore.
Eh,
Also, Legendary Truth is back.
Oh.
Hi, Pocket.
Hi.
So, this was the first and only time HHN offered a separately ticketed house called the Repository. In reality, it was more like an escape room than a haunted house, but it was still fascinating. The in-law reason for the Repository being a house was that it was a place to hold spoils from the Revolutionary War, just gaining different ill-gotten gains as the British were known for doing. After a while, it just became a warehouse to hold artifacts and haunted stuff until 2016, where Legendary Truth comes in and buys it. That's where you come in, helping them figure out the horrors lurking within the Repository. This is also the year we start to see that something happened with Boris's resignation, as corruption is rampant throughout Legendary Truth. Yes?
You keep saying repository. All I'm thinking is the suppository. I'm sorry.
Did everyone hear Zodi saying that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope they bring back this experience, at least with the Las Vegas version of HHN. I would love to do something similar. And also, below I included, was originally their answer to the Howl-O-Scream Alone house. Yeah, so real quick, Alone was a house that Howl-O-Scream introduced that was separately ticketed, and the actors could lightly, like, touch you by, like, pushing you and, like, getting in your face and stuff. Because you gave them permission by purchasing this on the website. Like, they were like, do you fucking allow us to do this? And then Halloween Horror Nights was like, oh, that was successful enough that they ran it for like 4 years. Let's do one of our own. Yeah. The haunt scene, literally nothing is original. Anyway, HHN 26, 2016. Considering the previous year was so good, this was a bit of a letdown year. Not all of them are going to be bangers, and that's okay. This year spawned some great zones, though. The houses are American Horror Story, Halloween Hell Comes to Haddonfield, Tomb of the Ancients, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Lunatic's Playground 3D, You Won't Stand a Chance, The Exorcist, Ghost Town, The Curse of Lightning Gulch, Krampus, and The Walking Dead, and the bonus house is The Repository. Scare zones are Survive or Die Apocalypse, Vamp 55, Lair of the Banshees, Dead Man's Wharf, and A Chance in Hell. Vamp 55 and Dead Man's Wharf would go on to become big fan faves, so not entirely a bad year. HHN 27, 2017. And we're back to the non-lawyers. We're back to the non-lore years. To be honest, the only significant thing from this year that pertains to this slideshow is that this was the last year with Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure. Yeah, the Froggy's Fog snow machine got a workout in Krampus. Yeah, that's fair. So, the houses for this year are American Horror Story Volume 2, The Shining, Ash vs. the Evil Dead, Saw, The Games of Jigsaw, The Horrors of Blumhouse, Dead Waters, The Fallen, Hive, and Scarecrow the Reaping. The scare zones are Altars of Horror, Festival of the Deadliest, Invasion, The Purge, and Trick or Treat. And I'm gonna blitz through the next few years due to the lack of lore. I promise you're not missing out on much. Things get a little spicy in a few years, don't worry. Oh yeah, Bruce Campbell goodness, that's fair. Also, by the way, for those that don't know, my dad is absolutely obsessed with Bruce Campbell. Also, a real quick disclaimer, with the Horrors of Blumhouse, when I talk about those houses, they're actually a different house every year. It's usually 2 different movies by Blumhouse.
Can't wait for the DVD and Five Nights at Freddy's ones.
Oh my god, yeah, the Dead by Daylight and Five Nights at Freddy's house would be fun.
I would love to see that.
Alright, so HHN 28, 2018. Give it up for reaching 10 houses, baby! Also, we're focusing more on mixing IPs and originals, since IPs bring in ticket sales, but originals keep repeat sales. So the houses are Stranger Things, Trick or Treat, Dead Exposure Patient Zero, Slaughter Cinema, Carnival Graveyard, Rust in Pieces, Seeds of Extinction, Poltergeist, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, The Horrors of Blumhouse, and Scary Tales, Deadly Ever After. The scare zones are The Harvest, Vamp 85, New Year's Eve, Twisted Tradition, The Revenge of Chucky, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. HHN 29. So the low-key theme of this year was 80s, which makes sense since they were almost 40 years ago at this time. In my honest opinion, things were getting stale as well, but that's coming from someone who didn't go until the following year. The Houses, Stranger Things, Nightingale's Blood Pit, Universal Monsters, Depths of Fear, Yeti, Terror of the Yukon, Ghostbusters, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Us, Graveyard Games, and House of a Thousand Corpses. The scares...
Oh my goodness, House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, you're gonna like the scare zones then, because we also have Zombieland, Double Tap, Rob Zombie, Hellbilly Deluxe, Anarcade,
Oh,
yeah, Vanity Ball, and Vikings Undead. Yeah, the Snow Machine was back in Yeti as well. Man, Rob Zombie made bank this year, huh?
Zombieland.
Yes.
I'm so normal about Zombieland, I promise.
That's totally fine. Listen, I fucking love Zombieland. It's fine.
I just rewatched the first movie, like 3 days ago.
God, the
and I
first
watched
movie
it
is so
twice.
good.
I watched it twice in one day
So
and forgot that I had stuff to do that day.
Yeah,
It's fine. It wasn't important stuff.
it was stuff, though.
It was stuff.
mention I've never seen those ones.
I highly recommend watching at least the first one.
It's very comedic.
And then, something weird happened. The entire world shut down. So we all know what happened during 2020, right? World shut down, theme parks closed, and suddenly people actually cared about retail workers. That is, this happened for 6 months if you lived in Florida, as we opened almost entirely back up on October 1st. Granted, Disney was still closed, but Universal opened shortly before this with mask restrictions, social distance guidelines, and lots of hand sanitizers. Also, a lot of rides were limited capacity, and lots of shows were closed to reinforce those social distancing guidelines. There was also an audio that would play throughout all of Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and City Walk telling everyone about the guidelines. This is where the HHN creative team had a brilliant idea. No, Mickey's not so scary? Fine, time to make our own. That's where the Fallen Halloween experience comes in. Tofu plus HHN 6. This is also where I come in. This was my first year trying out HHN, and it was honestly better than expected. Yes, there were only 2 houses in the tribute store when I went, but I was so enthralled by everything. They even allowed for adults and children to dress in costume and trick-or-treat in Islands of Adventure. The only lore here is that I fell in love with the event and was determined to go for a full year. Also, yes, the picture in the bottom right is, in order, me, Cam, Oz, and Zodi. So, Universal Studios Fallen Halloween Experience 2020. There's no real in-lore reason for this year, so let's just talk about what was offered. The houses were Revenge of the Tooth Fairy and Universal Monsters The Bride of Frankenstein Lives. Also, Beetlejuice was added on the last weekend. The other offerings were the Halloween Horror Nights Tribute Store, the Scarecrow Stalk, the Skeleton Bar, and the Islands of Adventure Trick or Treat. Eddie's back, baby! So the in-lore reason for the Lights, Camera, Action Eddie's Revenge Zone to exist is that Eddie is one of the icons that isn't held within the lantern, and he's liking what he's seeing with slashers becoming popular again. Thankfully, before Jack got shoved back into the lantern, he decided to use the money he's gained from the circus, which is still going on, by the way, to become executive producer for Eddie's movies. Because, and I quote from Jack saying this in the Scare Zone, if it isn't one of our productions, it's a piece of Schmidt. Also, they called Eddie not as handsome as Jack, and they're entitled to their clearly incorrect opinion. He actually stopped his chainsaw for me so I could take this picture, by the way. It's actually my fucking, it's my keyboard background on my phone.
I love that. That's amazing.
Oh yes, also the Tooth Fairy house facade was designed by Radley's Haunt designer Cody Mickham, which, for those that don't know, Radley's Haunt was actually one of our immediate competitors while I had a haunted house in my backyard. Icon Advisory. So things were getting antsy in the lantern. Adaru hadn't been let out in 10 years, he needs his walkies, and the other icons had been forcefully shoved back in over the past 6 years. We're not sure why, but Adaru decided, screw it, time to open up the lantern and get some new fresh blood, and had the HHN creative team build one of the houses into a replica of the lantern. Y'all remember that Slender Mansion idea from your creepypasta phase, right? This was basically that, but HHN. Each icon got their own room, recreating their favorite and signature kills, and a different one would be on the throne at the end. Anything that happened within the lantern is considered canon, so now all the icons are aware that I exist. Oh no. Tofu plus HHN number 7. HHN 30 was actually my first real full HHN year, and I had such a blast during it. Creepypasta face. It was supposed to be a face because we have several. No, it's fine. Trust me, Lilac. I have a Jeff the Killer plushie buried in my plushie collection. It's fine.
Yeah, later maybe I'll meet Jeff off screen.
That's fine. Anyway, however, this won't be a general slide, but actually a chronicling of 4 separate icon interactions I had during this year. The first one was a wild Jack encounter after my entire party went through Beetlejuice. I got a selfie with him, and he even complimented me on our matching hair. That moment legit turned me into a Jack fan, I am not kidding. The second icon interaction is separated into 2. Both times I saw Eddie when walking through Lights Camera Action Eddie's Revenge, he stopped his chainsaw so I could get a picture of him. They're both my favorite pictures from HHN to this day. Sony, why are you looking at me like that?
Okay. But we all were kind of jackasses to the Jack in...
Okay, we were kind of assholes to the Jack in HHN icons captured. Because when we went through our...
anybody but him on the throne.
I know. Thankfully we got Paulo at the end, and we're going to be talking about that in a second. Anyway.
We were assholes.
Then there was the interactions I had in HHN icons captured. Both times I went through, this one Julian actor scared the heck out of me. Turns out it was one of my friends, and we started talking after the first time I went through the house. And then there was my last interactions. The ones that solidified me simping over Paulo. Tofu plus HHN number 7 continued. The first interaction was actually kind of fun. This one Paulo kept holding eye contact with me after successfully scaring me to the point where I jumped and screamed. Prolonged eye contact. Time seemed to stand still, at least for me, and I waved a little before they waved back kind of creepily. It was very in character, and I cherish that memory. However, the second interaction was iconic, in the way that the throne Paulo acted. The interaction between him and the group that just exited had ended, and instead of drawing his attention to the group right in front of him, he locked eyes with me as me and Zodi entered the room. This was our second night attending, so it was just the 2 of us. He literally kept the eye contact going until we were forced to exit, even putting down his camera so he could do the hand-eyes thing at us as we gave him heart-shaped hands. You will see pictures of the hand-eye thing soon. Anyway, these case files unearthed. One last lore thing to cover this year: the Legendary Truth House. This is where we finally get to meet Boris Schuster. The canon reason for this house to exist is that a man named Tim Foyle was going through the archive of Legendary Truth and found a bunch of detective noir novels written by Boris, which were labeled as fiction, so the horrors behind each one weren't found out by the general population. Each room is a different part of each book, including the kitty cat club I mentioned way earlier. The house ends with Tim basically being sacrificed as a portal opens, since he arranged the totems for the Legions of Horror in a specific way, and no one knows quite what came through the portal because it's never fucking explained. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, HHN 30, 2021. Genuinely one of the best years of HHN in my honest opinion, and I'm glad it was my first. We're back up to 10 houses and 5 zones, along with the tribute store making a comeback. The houses are Puppet Theater, Captive Audience, Beetlejuice, The Haunting of Hill House, Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and for some reason they threw in Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, but they never told anyone, especially in the fucking advertising, so I did not know what was going on in half the house. HHN Icons Captured, Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, Welcome to Scary, Horror in the Heartland. Sydney and HR were here too. Case Files Unearthed, The Legendary Truth, The Wicked Growth, Realm of the Pumpkin, Scare Zones, Crypt TV, yikes! We'll talk about that in a second. 30 Years, 30 Fears. Seek and Destroy. Gorwood Forest. Terror Queen. Here's where she came back. It was supposed to be this year, but the previous year. But, COVID. So it was 16 years and not 15. But she still made an appearance. And then Lights, Camera, Action. Eddie's Revenge. The reason we don't talk about Crypt TV anymore is due to NFTs. It's a whole mess that isn't relevant anymore. If anyone wants me to go into detail on that, I can do that after stream, at the end of stream. Tofu plus HHN number 8. So this slide is going to be a little more like, what the fuck, Tofu? Because this is when I got 2 HHN dreams. One between visits, and then one after the second visit. For some reason, this is clearer than most of my real-life memories, but I've had 2 dreams where I'm slow dancing with Paulo. This is so vivid that I could feel his suit under my hands, I could smell the cologne he was wearing, I could hear the beginning part of You Want to Be in Pictures playing somewhere close by. Both dreams were the same, nothing different except in the second dream we were holding hands. Otherwise, it was exactly the same, and I'm terrified of what this means, since I'm usually just witnessing my dreams and never participating. Also, I had another dream recently where we had a dinner date for Valentine's, so I guess Dream Tofu is just dating Paulo. It's weird. It definitely doesn't help that I have a thing for people with green or various other eye colors beyond just blue or brown. And yeah, that's the hand-eye thing, by the way. Yes, you and your hazel eyes. Your pretty hazel eyes.
That are primarily green.
Yeah.
I'm so concerned for you, Tofu.
Am not. Get it.
So you accidentally made an icon. To catch you all up to speed, essentially the HHN creative team accidentally made an icon with the Wicked Growth House. No, I'm not talking about Little Boo. He counts, but only because he's on so much of the merch in HHN 31. I'm talking about the Pumpkin Lord. His backstory is that witches enchanted a pumpkin patch, and every year they feed humans to the pumpkins leading up to Halloween, in which the Pumpkin Lord makes an appearance. Think the Great Pumpkin, but disgusting. I also really liked being there to witness the birth of a new icon, but as someone who was crowned Halloween Princess by a random Hot Topic employee once and runs with that title, I think he has to bow down to me. Anyway, he's super cool and I'm glad he became an icon. Also, various fans considered him burping on you a blessing? Gross, but go off, I guess. HHN 31, 2022. So that was basically all the lore we got this year, so let's get to the houses and zones. Houses. Universal Monsters Legends Collide. Halloween. The Horrors of Blumhouse. If I remember, it was Black Phone and Freaky this year. The Weekend. After Hours Nightmare. A fantastic house. Spirits of the Coven. Bugs Eaten Alive. Fiesta de Chupacabras. Hellblock Horror. Dead Man's Pier. Winter's Wake. And Descendants of Destruction. Oh, my bad. The Scare Zones. Horrors of Halloween. Sweet Revenge. Conjure the Dark, Scarecrow the Cursed Soil, and Graveyard Deadly Unrest. So Tofu, why did you make this presentation and stream it? Well, 3 reasons actually. 1, I just really like talking about Halloween Horror Nights. There are so many aspects to the event that I could go on for days about it, from planning to execution. It's so fascinating to someone that used to run a haunted house out of their backyard for years. It's me, I'm someone. Went to the Cali Park this last time. Ooh, fun. I wanted a reason to categorize the lore and show how cool and silly it can be. Please, Universal, bring back the icons. The fans love the idea of icons, and I know y'all's wallets love how much they bring in via tickets and merch. And 3, I want to become a part of HGen Creative one day. I'm not kidding. I feel like I would be a great addition to the team. And if I'm willing to talk about HHM for literal hours while unpaid, just imagine how much I could do if I was getting paid that creative budget. Also, I wanted to show this to an audience that might not know this exists. You never know who wants the crap scared out of them until you introduce them to it. The end. I'll see you in the fog in September. Seriously, Universal, hire Tofu. Please. Please.
I love that.
Obligatory Tofu's favorite HHN pics and memes slide, by the way.
Horror.
Yeah.
Literally,
my bottom right. God damn it.
It's very good. Although my favorite is it's like my favorite out of all these pictures is the Usher and Jack just sharing popcorn. That one's from 20, if I remember.
Great.
Yeah.
I just love the usher peeking out.
I made it an icon in like
You made
an
an emote.
Yeah, I made it an emote in a roleplay server that me and Zodi are in.
That's great.
Anyway, thanks for watching. If y'all want another obscure horror deep dive, please let Chai know before letting me know. He does so many of these, and I want y'all to support my son before supporting me. Lamau.
Yes, support the frogs. Support the chew.
Freg.
Also, credits. This presentation template was created by Slides Go, including icons from Platicon, and infographics and images from Prepic. I am keeping this side for attribution. Okay, was there anything else? No, we're good. Okay. So thank you all.
Yeah, I need to take that illusion quiz. I keep meaning to.
Please
Same.
do. It's very good.
Don't know which one.
I have to put the work, but I want to take that.
Alright.
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and... Okay. Dad wants to do a thing. What's up?
Just one thing. Do give Makarati healing vibes, positive thoughts. He's very sick, and we created the icon, so
Yeah.
we all.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Alright, so let's go find someone to raid.
Lost.
Ah,
Oh, Lost? Lost is streaming? Okay, let's go raid Lost.
forest creature.
Yeah. Lost _ beloved _
Yep.
I can't tell you how often, if I go to raid Lost, I will literally type out, like, spell out underscore.
That's
because
amazing.
it's just how it is in my brain.
That's amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and start at the raid. And then thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for being here and being my Colleen, essentially.
Yay.
What's a Colleen?
It's a person that Chai
Oh,
does these.
Colleen!
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were like referencing something else, and I'm
No.
like, what
No,
movie is this a reference for?
No, the hidden slide kick.
The
It's
hidden
fine.
that one.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so we're raiding now. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.